Welcome into the Echo Sportscast number 54.
I'm Jackson Bull.
And I'm Ben Sargent. We start off with the Trojans and Bears playing an afternoon contest at Ferris last Friday. We have highlights as the Trojans breezed to a 2-0 start to the season.
In other NDA news, in senior girls basketball, Chippewa played Scollard at Chippewa last night, and the Bears senior girls prevailed on top, winning 44-35.
Chippewa and Scollard were also in action on the volleyball court, as it was Chippewa who took it over Scollard in 4 sets.
Lakers homecoming was this past weekend with big wins from both soccer teams and the lacrosse team. We have highlights from the women's Sunday affair against Queens.
And the U18 AAA Trappers and U16 Trappers kicked off their season at Memorial Gardens with back-to-back weekend games. I was on the call for the U18 Trappers and captured this exciting overtime winning goal as Scott Siegel got the Trappers off to a winning start. And all of that and more, but first a word from today's title sponsor, the North Bay Regional Health Center Foundation.
Dear North Bay, you've always been more than a place on the map. You're home to me. This is where I built a life with my husband, raised our kids, and taught in local schools for over 24 years. I'm proud to be part of this community. Earlier this year, my world shifted. After living with anxiety, depression, and PTSD for much of my life, I reached a point where I couldn't keep going alone. Walking into the emergency department at the North Bay Regional Health Center was one of the hardest things I've ever done. But what I found there changed everything. A nurse who made me feel safe, a crisis worker who truly listened. For the first time in a long time, I felt seen. That care gave me hope, and it inspired me to give back by supporting local healthcare so that others in our community can access the same compassionate care I did. If my story resonates with you, I hope you'll consider supporting the NBRHC Foundation. Please visit nbrhcfoundation.ca or call 705-495-8125 to give. Because mental health is health. With gratitude, Tiffany Van Meer.
So the Trojans continued their strong start to the NDA football season with a 40-12 victory over the Bears at West Ferris, with most of those points coming in the first half. Last Friday afternoon, Trojans quarterback Nick Corbeil, 3 touchdowns, including 2 in the air to receiver Nick Gilchrist, and ran the third one in himself. Owen LaCroix also ran 60 yards for a pick 6 on defense, and it was a tough day for the Bears as they played their first game of the year. Last night, the Bears and Barons did play at Omichaux, which we're recording this on Wednesday, so we will have highlights for you next week. But Jackson was out, and he got the footage of stuff, and he also got a great interview with Scollard coach Kyle Quinlan.
Hi, I'm here with the head coach of the St. Joseph Scollard Hall Bears senior boys football coach. Coach, not the result you were looking for from that game, but tell me a little bit about it. Tell me what you saw from the sideline.
Explosion plays, right? That's kind of the new metric nowadays, explosion plays. It used to be turnover battle, but definitely way too many explosion plays on for their offense, and we were just close on ours, but when you're close, it doesn't count. So that was the message going in. We knew they were athletic. Like you see it on the film, just absolute game-breaking athletes, especially at that QB spot. So teams are going to have a hard time with them. We definitely learned that lesson the hard way. Again, we knew it going in, but you got to go out and stop it. So we're going to see schematically what we can do, but he wasn't playing defense, right? That's what I was saying to my guys. So defensively, they're stout. They're well coached. We love the staff, what they do. So, you know what? Everyone makes the playoffs. So we took it on the chin. We're going to go back. We're going to work. We got a tough Algonquin squad coming up. So get back to the drawing board.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking to bounce back. Those Ferris boys had just come off a big win against the defending champs. What was your message in the locker room to stop that momentum? You knew they were going to have momentum. How did you try and make that come to a halt?
Well, I think I just go back to the explosion plays, right? You can stop that momentum pretty quickly, just try to hem them in, make them earn it the hard way, right? That was kind of the game plan going in, and hats off to them, right? That's what they were doing. They were doing a good job of scheming up those explosion plays and running around and just being the best player on the field. That's frankly what number one did, so our hats off to them.
Awesome. Who are some highlight players that you're looking forward to, whether they showed up in this game or not? Who is the stars of your squad?
Well, quite frankly, that's what we're trying to figure out. You know, that was my challenge to our guys, right? Like that's what high school football is. Quite frankly, you just see the best players on the field, and whether they show up that day is is going to be the question, right? So when number one was out there making all those plays, I looked at our guys and said, where are our best players, right? Where are we at? So, Teo Nato, definitely number 7, right? The whole league knows about him. He's an absolute stud out there at receiver. Parker Weller, big D lineman, plays both ways. Definitely has potential at the next level. Those are 2 that I'll name drop. The other guys we're going to see. We're going to see who. We've got a really good group of juniors, honestly, that moved up, guys that have a winning pedigree. So we just got to bring it together, right, and see who emerges from that group.
Yeah, absolutely. Having those 11s is honestly going to be key, having that depth everywhere. And like you mentioned, Parker Weller, I believe he had an older brother play on the team, and his dad was a big football player. And you were a big football player yourself, weren't you? Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, not much, no. I'm going to homecoming this weekend, actually. Honestly, McMaster's struggling right now, too, so we're trying to get that thing turned around. So I'll be going home, hopefully see a win against Guelph. Looking forward to it.
All right. Thank you so much. This is Kyle Quinlan, coach of the St. Joseph Scollard Hall Senior Boys Football.
So your first official interview that you've done, footage. I know you were texting me and you're like, I think I got it. We'll see.
I was hoping with the technical difficulties part, just the technical part, that would be not the weak suit for me, I guess. But other than that, it went okay. I got just the end of the game, and then talked to the head coach after a loss is always tough, but it was good.
Yeah, you kind of came in clutch because that was the one day where I was we were in like a staff thing all day. So I wasn't able to get out because they play a couple afternoon games. Obviously, we're recording this on Wednesday, so Thursday I'll be out at Omichel when the Bears and Barons play, so I'll be able to get that. But it was just funny because you were there a little bit later because of your commitments and stuff, and then you get here and you're like, so Ferris is blowing them out.
Yeah, no, it was still a good game. Still, the last half there was. I watched the Trojans kick a field goal, and then the Bears get a touchdown and fail the 2-point conversion. So it's still some good action in the last minutes.
And it sucks for Scollard. Of course, they lost their quarterback from last year. That's the whole point of high school football is things move and constantly change. And unfortunately, with 3 teams, there's only so much you can do because of that changing. And it's just unfortunate right now. It looks like Schollard's going to have a little bit of a tough go of it. We'll have to see based on Thursday's game against Algonquin, who is also down a quarterback right now. But it looks like the Trojans might have a path to the championship this year.
Yeah, the Trojans have a couple of the key pieces with tight teams, all 3 teams, the offense, defense, and special teams, but they also have those big players who make big plays, like the key positions, like your middle linebacker and your star corner and your quarterback, who are lighting it up right now.
Well, I would say, yeah, and again, I wasn't obviously there last week, but I mean, Nick Corbeil, who's their quarterback, he did score he had a hand in 3 of the touchdowns. He ran one of them in. Their first game of the season, he scored himself 4 out of the 5 touchdowns. And it just shows how important quarterback is, because Algonquin was kind of in that same boat in that first game of the season where they couldn't get anything going that much offensively. Yes, they had that kind of comeback, but in that second half, they just kind of fell off. And I think a lot of that has to do with missing your quarterback, who unfortunately fell in their first game. Yeah,
exactly. You can have as strong as a team and be a cohesive unit as much as you want, but if you don't have that explosive electric player, then you don't always have it.
So how is interviewing Kyle Quinlan? Because I know it's awkward after a loss sometimes, and you really have to find the coaches some coaches don't want to talk, which makes sense. Like some people they get very emotionally invested and they're not in the right headspace, which makes sense. But how did you find your first coach interview?
Yeah, he was really good, actually. I was pleasantly surprised. He seemed like he had a lot of knowledge. He'd been around the game a lot and coaching a lot, and he obviously had a lot of wins and losses under his belt, so it wasn't like a big, crushing loss first game of the year. And he had a lot of insight on what senior football is like, and he talked a lot about the explosive plays, which I thought was really important.
Yeah, it's kind of funny how you have, you'll have the teams that you want to win because you're alumni there or wherever, but then there's also the content piece. So when Ferris and Algonquin played, in my head, even though I'm a Ferris alumni, I'm like, that game was perfect. Like the way that game panned out, like a content piece was perfect, because you want to talk to coaches when they're doing well, right? And they're in a good spot. So like that game when it's Scollard versus Ferris, it's like from a content standpoint, you're like, kind of hope Scollard wins because they're going to give you a really good interview. It's just great content. But I am happy that we got all 3 coaches in, which is always nice. And it looks like it's going to be a good season, I think. And again, we don't know what's going on against the Algonquin-Scollard game, but depending on how that pans out, I think that will really give an interesting road to the rest of the regular season.
100%. And with a 3-team loop, no matter what, there's like that semifinal game is you're looking forward to that the whole time. You could be in second place comfortably, but you still have to win that semifinal game, and it's going to be tough, and you know it. One
of the things I want to ask them, actually, the last thing about football was, so the CHL this week, or sorry, CFL, not CHL, the CFL this week, they just announced new rule changes and new, shortening the field, putting the goalposts behind, all these different things. There's a lot of uproar around it. Obviously, a lot of the university football, high school football follows the same kind of rules. So I'm curious how, I don't think anything will change, but it is kind of curious how the CFL is starting to move into more of an Americanized version of football.
Yeah, I saw that too. And I know that the high school football is based primarily off the CFL. And so I don't think anything this year will change, or maybe not even next year, but I'm sure that the OFSA gods will take a look at it and see if it comes down.
Yeah, I know there's a whole thing right now with Montreal, because McGill is the one who they rented from McGill, and they were like, well, if you want to change it, you're going to have to pay for it. So, and they said it's like $2 million. So it's not cheap. But anyways, football, we're going to try to get some junior action as well. We haven't yet this year, but we're going to try and get some junior action at some point as well. It's a little bit more difficult with the way some of the schedules are. I know the Trojans played right after Ferris, but we'll try to get some for potentially next week or the week after and get some updates for you guys then.
Moving on to some basketball in the NDA, the Trojan Tip-Off Tournament was this weekend, and coming from Ferris's Facebook, our junior girls basketball team played in our annual Trojan Tip-Off Tournament over the weekend. The girls played well all weekend and went 3-1 and made the tournament championship finals and played a tough team from St. Benedict Catholic Secondary School from Sudbury. The girls got some quality games in and are improving daily.
Scollard also had some success in the senior level as they brought home the B Flight Championship banner after their final win against Superior Heights at the same Trojan Tip-Off Invitational. From their Facebook page, they say, huge congrats to the team on kicking off their season in championship style. And you were there briefly. You didn't get any footage, but you were there a little bit. I know we'll get to this later on, but you were doing some softball stuff on Saturday. But how's the event?
Yeah, so I watched some Chippewa games and then looked at a bunch of statistics and got some intel from coaches and other gym communers, people watching. So it seemed like the junior tournament was well and healthy, except for that St. Benedict Bears team who just had a few girls who were unstoppable. I think they won the final by more than 30.
Wow.
And then the senior girls, a single A school from Sudbury, Horizon, also just tore it up completely.
I didn't even know. So I knew, well, obviously we talked about this tournament. I didn't realize Sudbury was in this tournament. So was it just North Bay and Sudbury teams that were?
Superior Heights is from Sault Ste. Marie. So I think it was just kind of like NASA teams.
Oh, okay.
I imagine. I'm not sure. Often we invite teams like Timmins to our big ones, but I wasn't sure. I think Timmins was in it, actually.
Oh.
I think we had Timmins there too.
Well, it's good to see the North Bay teams representing. But you did go to, speaking of an actual NDA competition, you were on Tuesday night at, I believe, was it the Chippewa gym or the Scollard gym?
I started at the Chippewa gym to do some basketball and then shifted to the Scollard gym to do some volleyball. Basketball was good. I was there for the senior game, most of the senior game. It was a tight game, but the Bears hit so many more three-pointers than we did. Two teams battled hard, but when you go down and you score about 40% of the time, if you only get a 2 and they get a 3, you're ultimately going to lose.
So it was 44-35 was the final score there for the Bears. Your sister, of course, plays on that team. How did she do?
She was good. Chippewa tried really hard. She played good defense. But like I said, Scollard was a little bit faster, a little bit crisper, and a little bit physically bigger than Chippewa was, and that was tough. I also grabbed an interview with athletic head and St. Joseph Scollard Hall Bears senior girls basketball coach Dave Wiegers. I'm here with Bears head coach of the senior girls basketball and athletic director at Scollard, Dave Wiegers. Dave, tell me about that game against the Chippewa Ravens.
Well, it's a tough building to come into to play. The fans are always right into it. Our girls kind of get a little psyched out there whenever we come here. So First 3 quarters were kind of scrappy, and we kind of got out of our game a little bit, took a lot of fouls. And in the fourth quarter, they were able to clean it up, and we kind of took control of the game there and got some of our buckets started to fall there. Definitely need to work on our foul shooting. But, it's early in the season. This is our first league game. We had 4 games this weekend in the Ferris tournament. So, it's early in the season. We got some high hopes for the year, but, it's always a good test whenever we play Chippewa.
You mentioned some of those high hopes. What do those high hopes look like? Where do you see this team going in the future?
Well, definitely competing for the NDA championship, not to get too far ahead of ourselves. NOS is a little wide open based on what we saw this weekend at the Ferris tournament. So there's some hopes for that. And, there's been some, not to jinx anything, but some talk about heading to Sarnia for the AAA OFSA championships. But that's way too far ahead to think about.
And then finally, who are some players that you can shout out that had a great game this evening?
Well, I gotta think that our sharpshooter there, Jillian Mitchell, she really from behind the line there hit a couple of big threes there for us in the second half that helped open up the score a little bit, gave us a little bit of a cushion. Even though she was in foul trouble, she still continued to play hard, and it's your little sister there is she's always a tough mark. So she always gives us fits whenever we play. So and Jill had to mark her a bit this game. So full credit to Jill for being able to clean it up after the first half.
Thanks so much, Dave.
Awesome. Thanks, Jackson.
Lots of NDA basketball action this coming week with some Monday games. We have Northern hosting Franco-Cité at 5 o'clock, Mattawa hosting Scollard at 5 o'clock, and then on Tuesday, West Ferris Juniors hosting Algonquin Juniors at 5 o'clock, Algonquin Seniors playing Mattawa Seniors at 6:30, Franco-Cité and Scollard in Sturgeon at 5 and 6:30, and then Northern against Chippewa at 5 o'clock. And then Thursday, Scollard plays Chippewa once again at Scollard, 5 and 6:30, and then Franco-Cité hosts Algonquin, 5 and 6:30.
On the volleyball courts, you were also there on Tuesday evening, I believe after the basketball game, to check out the Chippewa Ravens, who we saw last week really go after Algonquin with a sweep 3-0 win. This time they're playing Scollard as well, and they ended up winning in 4 sets.
Yeah, so the junior boys played just before, long before I got there. The game had started at 5, and the Bears took that in 5 sets. And then the senior game, I caught the 3rd and 4th set. It seemed like Scollard had kind of been caught flat-footed to start. They lost the first 2 sets, and then they battled really hard in the 3rd set and ended up taking it over the Ravens. And then Chippewa stepped back on the gas and took it in 4.
Yeah, and that's something we see Chippewa, they did really well in that first game. Against Algonquin they were down sets 2 and 3, came back, especially in that middle section where you're around 15 points, and then it was a timeout by Craig Nodwell, their head coach, and then they just kind of went for it. And so first of all, for Scollard to take a set from them is pretty impressive with the way that they're going. And of course, we had a chance to talk with Logan Gilpin, who's their left side. How did he look?
He was a major role in this game as well. You can just tell the leader he is on the court, and with his words and also with his actions. Every opportunity that was given to him, he capitalized, or most opportunities. And then being a vocal leader was huge.
So upcoming in volleyball for the NDA, and this week on Monday, September 29th, Mattawa, the Elizabeth Briere Gym. They're hosting the St. Joseph Scollard Hall Bears. The juniors play at 5, the seniors at 6:30. Algonquin is also hosting Franco-Cité at 5 o'clock. That is a seniors game. And then on Tuesday, the 30th, Chippewa hosts Mattawa at 5 o'clock for the juniors, 6:30 for the seniors. And then Algonquin hosts West Ferris at 5 o'clock for the seniors. That's probably the game we're going to try to get to out of all of those ones, since we haven't seen Ferris play, and maybe get a little interview with one of those coaches as well. It's almost that time of year. Early mornings at the rink, fresh notebooks and backpacks, and a community gearing up for another great season of varsity sports. At Source for Sports North Bay, we're proud to be part of it all. Whether it's finding your kid's first pair of skates, gearing up for tryouts, or outfitting your team for the season ahead, we've got you covered. Because here, we're not just a sports store, we're neighbors, coaches, teammates, and fans. And we're proud to cheer you on every shift, step, and stride of the way. Visit Source for Sports North Bay at 1321 Fisher Street, and let us help you along your way.
North Bay's turning 100. And what a time to be here. From the buzz of the Heritage Parade to sunset concerts at the waterfront, the city is alive with celebration. And you know who's right in the middle of it all? Homewood Suites by Hilton North Bay. We're proud to be a part of this milestone moment. Whether you're coming home from a family reunion, planning a gathering with friends, or just simply making the most of everything the Centennial has to offer, our doors are open. Stay in a spacious suite that feels like home, with a full kitchen to cook in, room to relax, and a space to unwind after a full day of fun. Are you hosting something bigger? Our event spaces and amazing local partners like the Grand and Stock Transportation make it easy to bring people together. Best of all, they're just steps from the action. The fireworks, the food trucks, the music, the laughter, it's all right here. Celebrate 100 years of North Bay with us. Use code Centennial to save on your stay anytime this year. Be at home with Homewood Suites by Hilton North Bay. Join the party today at 495 Oak Street West or give us a call at 705-495-3000.
Lakers had their homecoming last weekend, which included 2 games for the men's and women's soccer teams and a game for the lacrosse team on Saturday night. But on Saturday, the Lakers dominated against RMC. The men's team won 6-0 for their first win of the year, and the women's won 6-1. And then the lacrosse team on the evening took on Laurentian and convincingly won 25-2. I was there for the women's game on Sunday as they took on Queens. It was 1-1 when I got there, just in time for the second half, and it was Sam Caputo for Queens, and I got that one on camera, so that puts them up 2-1. I did have to leave, though, but Courtney Pullman did tie it up in the 68th minute, as it was looking like the Lakers might drop their first game of the season. They did end up getting a single point, and the men later on in that day ended up dropping 1-0 to Carleton. So overall, if you look at it, the Lakers on the weekend won, 3 wins, 1 draw, 1 loss across all 3 teams. Pretty successful homecoming.
Absolutely. Getting that point in the tie is huge. And then I was more excited for the men's soccer team picking up that first win. They were
convincingly
draw, loss, draw. So that's awesome for them. And then that lacrosse team that we had talked to with Jason dominating Laurentian.
Yeah, 25-2. That was the one game I really wanted to get to, but as we'll get to in a second, I was at the Trappers game. I was doing play-by-play for them this weekend, both on Saturday and Sunday. And unfortunately, they were playing Saturday night at the same time the Lakers were playing. So I wasn't able to, or the lacrosse team, I should say, was playing, so I wasn't able to get there. But I do know that they play this coming Sunday, which I will talk about here. We'll talk about the upcoming games this weekend. But this Sunday they do play as well. So I'm going to get over there to get some stuff. Maybe get an interview. We'll see kind of how the day goes out. But I'm definitely going to get some of the footage from their game this Sunday.
Yeah, it's probably one of their last home games coming up. I think that was their 3rd one this past weekend. Yep. So coming up, going to have to get hopefully some interviews with some players before they are on their away stint.
Well, talking about upcoming games, as I said, the lacrosse team is in action on the 28th on the Sunday as they play Western University at 2 p.m. at the Nipissing Field. Going back, though, to Saturday morning at 9 a.m., the cross-country team is in Waterloo for a meet there. Then at 12 p.m., the only game hosted on Sunday is the women's team. They are hosting at the Nipissing Field, playing Ontario Tech. That's 12 o'clock. The men's are on the road. They're playing UFT in Toronto at 2:15. And then the women's team, actually on Sunday, are traveling to Toronto as well to play TMU at 12 p.m. there. So women's team at home Saturday at noon, and then the lacrosse team at home Sunday at 2 p.m. The U18 Trappers opened up their season. Both the U18 and U16 Trappers were in action. As I said, I wasn't able to cover some of the Lakers' homecoming because I was doing play-by-play at the Gardens for their 2 weekend games against the U18 Sioux Junior Greyhounds. Both very tight affairs, but Saturday, focusing on that game, Trappers at one point up 5-2, dominating, ended up letting Sioux get back into the game. They tie it up, get to overtime, and then this happens. And now here comes Dupuis, Nathan Dupuis, the man who tied things up from a shot from the top of the circle that floated over the glove of Logan Coates. Now here's Starcevic. Starcevic, he's got a man with him. All alone in front, they score! What a goal! As it's Scott Siegel, the captain, who opens and wins the game for the Trappers in the 2025-2026 regular season. What a win for this team. Up 3 goals. They lose the lead, and they end up winning it, and none other than their captain puts it away, and Trappers win their opener. So yeah, a pretty good start for the season for the Trappers.
Absolutely. What an exciting way to finish for those boys, as they some of them probably on their senior season, and so that's a hot start.
Yeah, a new team. I know this a lot because I literally just went through all of this stuff as I was prepping for the game and doing all that kind of research and stuff. But it was a very interesting weekend. So when overtime came in, I'm like, I got to grab this on my phone so I can use some of this for the Sportscast. And yeah, so I was trying to capture some footage while also calling the game, while also not looking at my camera. So some of the footage is like not well framed because of it, but it was funny because I got that shot and then I could hear my call over it, which makes sense because I'm standing like a couple meters away. And then it kind of worked out, which was kind of nice. But a big moment for him. It was funny because I guess it was his mom. So when you walk in, they have the entry, because I don't know if it's free to get in or you have to pay, but they have like the 50-50 tickets there.
Oh yeah.
I always just say I'm like the play-by-play guy, and then we say hi, and then I walk in. But it was the one lady was wanted me to give a shout out to Scott Siegel, and it kind of ended up working out. And so yeah, it was kind of nice. Of course, him getting the C this year, which is a big thing for them.
Absolutely. It's all on her, I guess. She fed him his Wheaties that morning, and so she knew that he was going to have a big play.
And yeah, and then the funny thing, so Sunday happens, right? The next game, and we're like, we don't know what's going to happen. They're Aiden Bahari was one of their big guys this year who went from defense to offense. He got a kneeing penalty in that first game, and now he's suspended because of so he had like a 5-minute major. And knowing Josh Dale, their coach, he was fuming. I was talking to him on Sunday before the game. Like, he was up in the press box and we were just kind of chatting, and you could just tell he was not a happy camper.
Not happy with the referees or with results,
just the discipline, right? Because these guys, they're young kids. Well, you know this. Like, you just came out of this age. There's a lot of adrenaline, especially when you're playing at that level. And yeah, it was just, discipline is a big thing. We saw a number of undisciplined penalties that they were taking. But yeah, funny, the same thing happened on Sunday. They were up 5-2 at some point and ended up barely winning 6-5 in regulation. It was a pretty crazy game. And that's the one thing I love about that level is no lead is safe. You think somebody's dominating, and then they'll come in the third period, it'll be completely different.
That's why I love the Junior A, actually, watching the Voodoos. They play in such a small rink, they almost bounce off each other, and all the games are like 7-5, 8-4. It's never like 1-0.
Yeah, and those are the fun ones to call. So the game will be done. We're doing this again Wednesday. So tonight they play Espanola, the Paper Kings. I'm doing the call tonight, and it's interesting because 13. Oh, what is the stat? I don't have it off the top of my head, but I want to say like it's something crazy. Like 14 of the 17 goals they scored were all Trapper players. There's only 3 goals that they've scored this year that weren't from former Trapper players.
Yeah, I know that they had, not going to get too much into it, but I know that they had a group of boys born in 2006 and 2005 who were from that Trappers team that had so much success a few years ago, including guys like Caleb Dawson, and so I assume that they're huge leaders and are part of the scoring.
And they've had to grow as well. Like, the Voodoos are in that spot. So these are the Trappers that are currently on the Voodoo squad. Shout out to Chris Dawson, he's the one who feeds us. I made the joke because he feeds us all this information. I made the joke in our group chat that I'm going to look so smart, right? And it's like I use Chris GPT to get all of my answers because he'll send like I've got like lists and lists of storylines and everything, which makes my life a lot easier. One of the hard things about doing like the Great North U18 League is there's not a lot of info. So unless you're chatting to the people close, and pronunciations are hard to get because you don't know how to pronounce them. So you kind of have to go to like online and hope that it's right. But yeah, so currently the Trappers that are on the Voodoos: Owen Head, Caden Cowell, Anthony Bowes, Jesse Lefebvre, Mason Brownlee, Caleb Dawson, Justin Russo, Cam Lockhart, who's injured right now, Tyler Burnett, and Jackson Cullen. And most of the like Cullen, Burnett, Lockhart, I want to say, no, not Russo. So yeah, those last 3, they were on last year's team that was like 28 4-3 or something like crazy. Like they crushed it last year. Caleb Dawson's been there forever. Jesse Lefebvre was in that championship winning team. There's a lot of people that move up to that next level, or they play hockey at the next level.
Yeah, absolutely. And for one reason or another, they take them on that team. And often people show up when they get to that level. Like they don't always perform in the U18, but they take that step up, and you're like, it's a whole new player. He's more physical, he's quicker, and he's stronger.
And it was funny. We had a conversation with Peter Goulet, who's their head coach, the Voodoo's head coach. And the one time we asked him, like, what's the difference between all the leagues, right? Between like the CHL or the OHL, the juniors, and he was just saying like your reaction time is so much different. So in that U18 league, you have a couple of seconds to decide what do you want to do with the puck. When you're at like the Voodoo's level, that junior level, you have maybe a second. And then when you're at the OHL level, it's like you need to, or the NHL level or whatever, it's like you need to know where that puck's going before it even hits your stick. Yeah. Like you need to already know what your next play is before you even touch the puck.
The system gets so much crisper. When U18, it's just being implemented and the kinks are being worked out. And then Junior A, it's starting to see some success. And you have those guys who can really put it together well. And then the OHL, you have to run it to perfection or it'll be exposed immediately. Over the weekend, the NSPA held their big charity tournament, the Mike Lalone tournament, in honor of Mike and cancer research. It's a big tournament, 36 teams that starts off in 9 pools of 4, and then after playing the 3 games of round robin, shakes out into the 4 divisions. I was there playing. My team ended up going 3-0 in round robin and put us into the elite group. And then we dropped it in the quarters and lost. In the elite finals, it was rained out between the Unwanted, formerly known as the Trash Pandas, and then the Dirty K's, I believe, the Special K's.
What a name.
Yeah.
What names.
Yeah, the Trash Pandas are like a celebrity team. They come in it just about every year, and they win it. They won it last year. I believe they won it 2 years ago. And so it's sort of silly, but...
You're with the Thunder Chickens.
Yeah, the Thunder Chickens. I love being.
But what was your team? Because you guys were split in 2. We were talking about this before. So you guys got split in 2. Were you still the Thunder Chickens?
No, we ended up being the Young Chickens. The older team got to keep the name, and then we split into the Young Chickens.
Yeah. But I will say this though: on your team, favorite player. I don't know. I can't remember his name. But you know what I'm talking about. Bucket hat. He's got a bucket hat on. He cuts his pants into shorts, and he's just phenomenal.
Nicholas Tessier.
There you go.
Wicked athlete, fantastic guy, and like quite the softball player.
When somebody shows up and they're wearing the most ridiculous getup, they're either like they don't care and they're super bad, but when they're on a team like that, they're usually like so good that nobody even bats an eye. Like when you go to provincial tournaments, does he still wear that?
No, he locks it in a little bit, but at the last provincial tournament we were at, he slid and ripped his pants right on the backside, and so it was just, it still stays with him. You know, he tries to keep it together, but it stays with him.
He still wears those pants.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Well, that's Sportscast number 54.
I'm Jackson Bull.
And I'm Ben Sargent. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you again next week.